Hello, and thank you for joining me for some snippets of chapter 3. And this chapter is titled Reality, the quality or state of being real. So I will share different parts of this chapter, and it also contains parts of my story around addiction and my recovery from addiction. So I will sort of start on one bit and then jump to another part, which I believe is really quite relevant now. So what is your reality right now? This is probably an appropriate time to ask you this question, given what the outside world looks like, and how you may feel or be affected by it. The reality I often used to experience showed me one thing, and that was the act of surrender, in order to really step into and feel my innate ability to consciously choose a reality I actually wanted. Before having these surrender experiences and mini awakenings, my realities were mostly manifesting from an unconscious state of being. The beauty to be found in the process of surrender is fundamentally divine. This has been my experience, and I would love it to be yours too. I looked up some definitions of surrender in the dictionary, and there are various meanings, but the definition I most identify with and have experienced is this: abandoning oneself entirely to a powerful emotion or influence. This powerful influence was the divine presence that immediately flowed through me following the act of surrender. Your thoughts are where the journey begins. Identify whether the thoughts you are having are actually your organic thoughts that are serving your creation, or whether they are coming from a mental programming that you are running in your subconscious. Once you can surrender your thoughts, you can create a different reality by telling a different story. The reason my surrender experiences happened was because I was ready for them after feeling broken and realizing alone that I did not have the answers or solutions to my life. It was then that the all-pervading force that is within me and encrypted within us all had one purpose: to show itself and enable me to experience the fullest magnitude of who we all are. That force is love. The act of surrender is similar each time, but the result of each surrender reveals something different and at times more profound insights. Life happens for you and not to you from the vantage point of surrender. Stop what you are doing now and ask yourself, what is my reality now? Observe how quickly your mind grasps at any potential conditioning to answer that question. By default, the answer will want to come from the conditioned ego-based world it has led you to believe in, the story you have constantly been telling yourself, and subsequently reacting to. I'd like to share with you some experiences with surrender, and this is where I highlight there is some discussion of drug use. So I'm going to skip through a few pages here. So fast forward now to my early 30s, and I find myself having yet another moment of surrender. This time I literally fell to my knees one night in the bathroom and asked out loud for someone to help me. I was wrapped up, bound if you like, in a feeling of desperation, loneliness, powerlessness and hopelessness, and knowing that I was potentially going to be dead soon. And yet the profound thing here was that this time I found myself in a state of willingness to ask for the help, and energetically I had put myself into a space of being open to receiving that help. This was driven by the energy of intention as I had nothing left. This second surrender was because of a severe addiction to painkillers prescribed by my doctor. And as I suffered with the dis-ease of addiction, I could not stop just by using my own willpower, no matter how I tried. Many people do not understand the nature of true addiction. Therefore, there is so much judgment around those who suffer with this mental and physical illness. As I look back on my experiences with my own GP and his role in my addiction, it saddens me that he also didn't fully understand addiction. I viewed him a bit like I would view a drug dealer on the streets. I recall occasions when my GP would ask me to help him understand addiction, while he continued to offer me prescriptions, despite me saying I needed help weaning off. Had I not the desperation and the willingness to wean off, I would have been snatching those prescriptions out of his hand. It was at those points that I knew I needed help from family members too, to moderate what I was taking to be able to wean off. I point out the concepts of willingness, asking and receiving, and we will cover them in further reflections later on in the book. But suffice to say, during that time, I didn't see or understand how the important universal laws were at play. I understand them to be important now. And one other thought to add: the reason I talk about my drug experiences is that those are the episodes that have taught me so much about consciousness, who we are as energy beings, and the power that is connected to the God source. So I feel that's important to share, because there are many people like myself out there experiencing addictions to pharmaceutical drugs, opiates. It's quite an epidemic, and I talk about that obviously in the book, amongst other things. So thank you for listening, and if you'd like to find out more, read more, then you can grab my book on Amazon. Thank you.